not just the person, the only person who could have played the titular character, but also the woman behind Barbie. She just received her 3rd Academy Award nomination as a producer on the film. Please welcome Margot Robbie. It was quite the catwalk. I know, right? Sorry, I have to. Hi, Barbie.
Hi, Barbie. Hi, Barbie. Did anyone see the movie for the first time tonight?
Do you believe that?
Oh,
Where have you been? Like, I'm genuinely curious. Look, we'll talk after. Thank you so much for being here. Sorry, there's an Amber Alert going around, so you might want to take a minute to silence your phone, because it got me at dinner, too. This is an audience of fellow movie lovers. We love this movie. We love movies in general. I'm curious for each of you, was there a moment you knew that you wanted to be a part of this business? Was there a movie or a performance or an actor that spoke to you and you know, started this whole crazy career? Start with Tom.
Thank you.
I'm so happy we're starting because
I was waiting for Margot to call me out on this. I have a very embarrassing story. When I was younger, I was very fortunate enough to get onto a Harry Potter set. So I was in my early teens, and I was on the Harry Potter 3 set.
he's in Slytherin. He's an extra.
Are you really?
Slytherin.
Slytherin!
Draco Malfoy pushes him out of the way. It's amazing.
It's my
God, you're
mum's,
familiar.
it's my mum's proudest moment. And I got to see the mechanics of filmmaking, and like, I got to see Alfonso running around, and at the time I saw the first AD, who I thought was a director, bossing people around, and I was like, that's what I want to do. And from that age, 13 I think, I was like, I want to be in the movie business, and I want to learn how to make movies, and ultimately producing was what I ended up doing.
That's so cool. And also 3 is the best of the movies, just saying.
It is, yeah.
Not a coincidence. Rhea, for you?
Well, when I was, I guess I was at middle school, about junior high school, they called it then, and it was a long time ago. And I was very inspired by watching the Lucy show, but not, by everybody, but I was very inspired by Ricky Ricardo.
Yes.
Singing Babalu and playing, the bongos, and I was like, that is so much fun. And I did it as a talent show thing in junior high school. And other than that, I was the shyest kid ever.
Really?
And so people were just freaking out. And that was like the beginning. I was like, I love this. I love how people are reacting to me. And so.
You played the drums and everything?
No, I played the make-believe drums.
Okay.
Very well, though.
That's incredible. I love that. America?
Well, I knew I wanted to be an actress when I was like 5 years old, and I went and saw my sister begrudgingly do her 5th grade play. She was Flying Monkey number 3 in The Wizard of Oz or something. And I just remember like sitting in that seat, like seething with rage that nobody had asked me to be a flying monkey in The Wizard of Oz. And it was that, like, I just was like, that, I want to do that. And I'm very angry that no one asked me to join the party. So I knew since then.
You said begrudgingly. Do you mean she was begrudgingly?
Oh yeah, she didn't want to do it. She had to be in the 5th grade play. So
This is a chorus line, basically. Yes, you said.
Oh
you
yeah,
did that.
oh yeah. I'm trying to remember the words, but I don't want to sing for you. I'm watching Cisco Pitter Pat. That one now, okay? But then by the time I was in 3rd grade, my sisters were not actors, but for some reason they always got in that world. And I was in 3rd grade, and my sisters were auditioning for Romeo and Juliet, mainly because they wanted to be with the cute boys. Mm-hmm. And I followed them, and I made them take me to the auditions. And they're like, sit in the back and shut up. And so like how old are you in 3rd grade? I don't know, 8, 9? And I found my way to the teacher, Mr. Protho, and I asked him if I could audition, and he said yes. And then my sisters at some point just looked up, and there I was on the stage auditioning. And he cast me as the apothecary in Romeo and Juliet. Wow. I got a better part than my sisters, so there.
And I've learned from Shakespeare in Love that the play is about the apothecary. Really?
I agree.
Yeah.
I've always thought that, yeah.
Margot, for you?
I think I was inspired by so many.
obsessed. I reckon everyone in the room feels this way, but I was just obsessed with movies when I was a kid, and I would watch them again and again and again and again. Like the minute it finished, I'd rewind it and start it all over again, and then I'd reenact it for my mum as she cooked dinner. And she was always just like, "How are you making this up?" I'm like, "I'm not making it up. This is the movie. I'm doing the movie." And she says that I just used to like recite like 15 minutes of movies, and she was like, no one in my family does acting or anything like this, so she was very confused. She was like, I don't know where you get it from.
Do you remember watching Harry Potter and seeing this cute Slytherin boy?
It's where it all began. No, I didn't know that. Tom never told me, obviously.
Really?
His mum told me and would tell any of you if she had a chance. The minute you walk into Nikki Ackerley's house, she's like, darling, come here, and she'll turn the TV on and show you Tom's part. But otherwise you never know.
What a full circle story, because David Heyman produced this movie with us, and he produced the Harry Potter movies.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, again, congratulations on a fantastic film. I'm going to start at the beginning with Margot and Tom, because Lucky Chap, you have an amazing track record. I don't totally understand baseball, but I understand your batting average is very high, as they say. What are sort of the projects that interest you, and how did Barbie sort of fit into that overall theme?
I think as producers we seek originality, and we seek stories that haven't been told before, and I think our North Star within all of that is like taking the biggest things we can find and backing the boldest filmmakers we can work with. And in Barbie, that was the biggest swing, and Greta Gerwig was and is the boldest filmmaker. And the opportunity to pair those two things together was something we really could see. And it was something, I go back to our kind of Greenlight meeting, it was something Margot said, that if you partner a great filmmaker with something recognizable, you can make something kind of transcendent. And that was James Cameron and the Titanic, and Steven Spielberg and Dinosaurs, and Greta Gerwig and Barbie.
Wow.
And that's kind of what got us over the line.
That's because I'll be honest, I didn't know if this movie was going to work when I heard about it. Yeah,
I did. I just knew that it could be something so special if we could get Greta Gerwig or someone like Greta Gerwig and the right people together. But it was something I noticed as well when we made the movie I, Tonya, is that... And
I'm sorry, she said I, Tonya.
It was the second film we produced, and I didn't realize at the time, but in hindsight I recognized that audiences had already decided how they felt about our protagonist before they started watching the movie, for the most part. And it was just an incredible place to start with an audience, them already having strong feelings about your protagonist. Not necessarily good feelings either. They people really hated Tonya or really fought for Tonya, whatever. But same thing with Barbie. Everyone, is so globally recognized, has a relationship with even just the word Barbie. It either ignites a childhood memory, or maybe they're a mum and they feel conflicted about whether they even want to get a Barbie for their kid when their kid asks for it. Like, am I being a good woman or mum if I say yes to this? There's so many feelings already wrapped up in our protagonist. It's such an amazing place to begin the conversation. In other instances, you have to make the audience care about your protagonist before you can take them on a journey. But in this instance, what an amazing opportunity it could be if we could, really start that conversation. And I knew it was always going to be like a spicy conversation. The conversations around Barbie have been spicy for the last 65 years. So there was clearly going to be a lot that we could do and say and explore, but approaching it with a lot of love and kind of your inner child felt like a really, great opportunity to also hopefully put something positive and joyful into the world.
Can you say spicy again? The way you say it is... I want to make that my ringtone. For America and Rhea, can you talk about, when you first heard there was going to be a Barbie movie, you probably thought several things. I don't know if you got to read the script right away and were like, oh no, this is great, or if there was like any hesitation. How did you sort of come to the project?
Do you want to go first?
Sure. Well, I didn't know that there was going to be a Barbie movie, and I got a call. I was in Santa Fe on a trip for my birthday, actually, with a couple of girlfriends, and it was my agent, and he said, Greta Gerwig wants to talk to you. I was like, what? I'm such a huge fan of her. I have been for a long time, and I said, okay, I'm going to pull over. And she said, no, she doesn't want to talk to you right now. She's going to talk to you. She's going to set up a time to talk to you. And I said, okay, great. She's doing this movie about Barbie. And I was just like, just blown out just hearing that. Because for one thing, I just got to say, I'm a mom, I have 3 kids, now I have grandkids. And I love toys. I've always loved toys. My favorite thing in New York always was going to FAO Schwartz and buying as many things as we could, and they loved Barbies. And when they were young, they loved Barbies. And so, Greta called me and she said, there's this part for you in our movie, Barbie, and we'd like you to read it, and I'd like you to do it. She just said, I'd like you to do it. I hadn't even looked, and I said, oh, I will do it. And she said, but will you read it? I said, I will read it. I read it right away. Send it, and so I got so excited. And the second, first page just grabs you in that script. It's so well written and funny, and then, and with so much going on in it. I don't know, that script is amazing. That was an amazing thing.
Did you think they were going to ask you to audition, or?
I did.
What? Come on.
Well, or maybe talk about it. What's your take on this? Or, how are you seeing this? And yes, we talked, but it wasn't dependent on that. She saw me in the part, in her head.
Yeah.
And then, and it was written in such a way that there was really only one way to interpret it. Mm-hmm. And it was just real. It was real. And I just loved that, because I hadn't, usually I'm doing something with some kind of comedy in it that is just a kick, And there's comedy in it, but not so much for this character.
Yeah.
And it was a joy.
That's what I thought was brilliant, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. America, for you?
Yeah, I also, I did not play with Barbies growing up. That was not my thing. And I never in a million years imagined that I would be in a Barbie movie. But I heard that Margot and Greta were at the head of this, and both women I have admired for so long. And what Greta sent me the script and wrote to me, and similarly, it was this incredible gift of this amazing director, visionary who I had admired, saying like, I see you in this. And she first said like, hear me out, I wrote a Barbie movie. And she said, I wrote this part of Gloria, and I've heard your voice for a long time, and saying the words, and I wrote this monologue, and I call it Gloria's aria. She also said, Meryl Streep's read this monologue. She said she would like to do it. And I was like, then let Meryl Streep do it. Like, why would you put anyone in that position? And I had no idea what to expect, but I was excited because I just knew that in the hands of these two deeply intelligent, talented women, they were going to have a take, and I could have just never expected. Reading that script for the first time was so close to what the experience of watching this movie is. You're just so delighted, and everything is unexpected, and you have no idea where it's going, and it's totally freaking weird and bonkers, and you're just on the ride, and you're laughing, and then you're crying, and then you're laughing and crying, and you're like, I don't know what I'm feeling. And by the time it was done, I just felt like I, had been on drugs. I don't know, like it was crazy. And when I met Gloria's character on page 35, I had the moment, or really it was the moment where Barbie and Gloria finally meet, and she says, like, you came for me. And it was this meta moment of feeling like, just as a woman in the world, realizing that this was about us. Like, it was so generous. It felt like a gift, one that we never expect, right? For these fun, joyous adventures to center us and our perspectives. And so just like as a person in the world, I was so thrilled that like this was the Barbie movie that nobody asked for, but that we were gonna get, you know, and that obviously we needed on some level because it resonated so deeply with us.
It's the Barbie we need, but we don't deserve. But we appreciate it, thank you. We do have so many actors here, and I'm curious because I would be remiss not to ask. You seem surprised, Rhea, that you were not asked to audition. America, you seem surprised this role was written for you. You're the boss, so you knew that you were good. But it's such a strange process, auditioning, and I'm just curious, have you learned anything in those audition rooms to help you get through it? I'm imagining it's been a long time since you've had to do that.
Yeah. I mean, but for me, I hated auditioning. I just hated it. And
Oh, sorry, your mic.
oh yeah, you need that. See, I didn't even do that right. No, we need you to talk. Okay. No, yeah. So I think it's a horrific process. I'm sorry people have to go through it, but I guess that's the only way for somebody who other people don't know, you know, to get a part, you know, and for people who are making the movie to find people who can do the parts who aren't already known. Because there are so many talented people in this country, in the world, who, you know, every one of them, if they really want a part, that's what they have to do. And hopefully they'll get one. It's just I don't know, it's a crazy game. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
I used to always, my goal when I would do auditions wasn't to get the part, my goal was to impress the casting director. So I would go after, like, I would be kind of ticking them off my list. I'm like, oh, you know, when I went up for Wolf of Wall Street and did my tape for that, I never thought in a million years Martin Scorsese was going to see that tape. I was excited that I was auditioning for Ellen Lewis because she's an amazing casting director, you know. So I was always like, okay, Ellen, I just got to impress Ellen Lewis. I just got to make, and having now been on, and I talk to his friends sometimes like, oh, I've got an audition to do, but I'm not really gonna. It doesn't really matter because I'm not right for the part. And I'm like, no. It doesn't matter if you're right for the part. You got to give a memorable audition because they will remember you for another part. And now that I've been on the other side of it, we still go to actors that we watched auditions for I, Tonya. And I'm like, you weren't right for that role, but I've never forgotten, you know, I won't say all the actors, but there's so many people that I track and we put them forward for jobs coming up and all that because they did great auditions. And same thing with on Barbie, we watched hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of tapes. And, you know, it was a real card castle putting this incredible cast together. And sometimes it just was about complimenting the rest of the Barbies, the rest of the Kens, or whatever the situation was. But you still remember the people who did great auditions, even if it wasn't the right thing for what you're looking for. So I think another great piece of advice is just, you know, do it, just make the audition amazing. And even if you don't think you're right for the role, they will remember you. Mm-hmm. Producers will, casting agents will.
That's so smart. I feel like something I learned being on the other side as a producer and a director casting is like you want every person who walks in that room to be the right person. The audition process is grueling on the other side as well. Like you watching people over, so you're like, please God, be good, you know? And you're like, be the one so we can stop, right? I mean, just me? Okay. But like, I think that as starting out as an actor, I had the sense of like, oh, you're going into this tribunal and like someone's eating a sandwich and that person's checking their iPhone, or, you know, that it's like you against them, and you kind of have to, you know, be good enough to get their attention. But I do think that the truth is everyone in the room wants you to be great, and is rooting for you and wants you to succeed. So that shift in mindset helped a bit. I do think that it's just a scary thing and a grueling process, but what you said is so smart, of like knowing that every audition isn't necessarily about the job, but a chance to like do great work that might, who knows, make you remembered.
Tom, did you have to audition for Harry Potter? Because,
Luckily, no. But
but I mean, I think that, you know, partnering with an actor, you probably have a special empathy for people coming into the room and you know what it's like. I don't know if there's anything you can do to make that room more comfortable.
I think, you know, it says America, you know, it's paying as much attention as you can. And truthfully, Margot still goes up to actors that we watched auditions of. She did an event last night. It was like, I loved your Barbie audition. And I think giving that back to people, you know, even if they didn't get the part, is such a key thing. You know, a lot of people don't get it, but letting them know how great they were, so it was a nice moment.
I actually want to talk a little bit more about this ensemble because it's obviously, there's a reason it's nominated in a very, very talented year. It is such a fantastic ensemble, and every single role is cast with such care. I do want to start with your fellow Oscar nominee, Ryan Gosling, who plays Ken, because I believe Margot and Tom, you really kind of had to convince him to take the part?
Yeah, Ryan passed like 60 times, and we just kept being like, la la la, not listening, so you'll be Ken, and it'll be great.
Greta wrote the script with Margot, Ryan, and America's names in the script.
Really?
It says Ken Ryan Gosling.
And so we
We
couldn't
didn't
not
have a choice
get,
in the matter.
we couldn't not get Ryan Gosling. And I will say, I think it's the bravest performance of all time. Like, I think you know, it is the ultimate supporting role. It's Ken in a Barbie movie, and an actor of Ryan's stature and caliber to commit to that in the way that he did. He gave 110%, and he marched in head first. And we knew, you know, we went to him, or Greta saw him because of what he can bring comedically to the role, and then he brought such a vulnerability to that character, and it's just so brave what he did.
Yeah. All your actors, though, like from top to bottom, even if they just appear briefly, they are fully formed characters, which is kind of ironic because they're largely playing dolls.
We have such a deep bench of actors in this film, and these actors were on set all the time because you may have noticed, like, the dream houses don't have walls. The whole purpose of Barbie Land is that you're totally exposed, everyone can see each other, they don't know things like shame. So logistically speaking, that means you are putting all 30 actors through the works every morning, and they will be there all day while you do scenes that they might not have lines in. And you've got people like Kingsley Ben-Adir, or like Alexandra Shipp, or Issa Rae, or like, you know, Simu Liu. You've got these big actors who are like literally being background artists most of the time, and they're so committed to Greta and being a part of this that they were happy to do it, which was honestly my biggest fear. I was like, how are we going to get all the people we want? But kind of like how you heard Rhea speaking at the beginning, like the reciprocated enthusiasm. We'd come to people and be like, we want you so bad, and they'd be like, I want to do this so bad too, and that was a really beautiful thing. But truly piecing together this cast was unbelievable. Just all the Barbies, all the Kens, all the humans. You've got Mattel, Will Ferrell, and the whole C-suite. You've got like Jamie and like all these brilliant comedic actors and dramatic actors, like just really going for it. We were incredibly lucky that just the caliber of people said yes and really committed to it, and everyone had to commit to it. There is no like half-assing it in Barbie Land. In this movie, the tone of it is just too heightened. You have to really go all out all the time.
Did you think about promising them free clothes? They could have just kept the outfits. I would have. Think about the money you could save. Sorry to bring that to you now. You mentioned playing, you know, a Barbie, and I think a lot of people signing on to play her maybe might not take the role too seriously at start. You know, it is a iconic character, but you made her this truly complex, nuanced individual, as did, I think, everyone in this cast. It may seem crazy, but where do you begin in your preparation to play Barbie? Do you learn her history? Do you know everything there is to know about her?
Yeah, I obviously have been making the Barbie movie for years before it came to the point of actually prepping the role as an actor. And all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. She was like a little grape at the end of like a salad bowl. I just couldn't get her. I was like, there's nothing to hang on to. Like, what are you? I normally have like the tools that I normally implement to create a character, and I invent childhood memories for my character that somehow change the person that they are. And then I do animal work, and I work with movement coaches, and I map out emotional stuff, and I read books, and I blah blah blah, and I do all these things that I normally do just weren't it just wasn't applicable to Barbie. It just didn't, she just exists. There is no childhood. There is no, she just popped into existence, and she exists in a completely certain world, and she then goes on this journey, and by the end of it obviously becomes human, but that I just didn't know where to start with all that, and Greta helped me through it. I kind of showed up at her house one night and was like, I can't act and I don't know what I'm doing. And she was like, okay, you're doing that thing where 2 weeks before a job you suddenly think you can't do anything. But she had amazing, obviously that we all experience the amazing points of reference that Greta can throw at you, which can span anything from a movie from 100 years ago to a TikTok that's going viral, and somehow she'll mash that together and make it resonate. But she also put me onto this podcast about a woman who doesn't introspect, who doesn't have the voice in her head that's constantly narrating life, as most of us do. But she has a PhD, she's incredibly smart. She just doesn't have that voice in her head. She is only focused on literally what is right in front of her at the time. So things like that also really helped unlock the character too. And then I had an amazing time we mapped out very, very carefully the journey aesthetically as well for Barbie, with Jacqueline Duran, our incredible costume designer. We wanted all Barbie's outfits at the beginning we kind of moved through the decade with the styles, but they also are very structured and certain geometric patterns and very structured fabrics, and then it kind of evolves or devolves as she becomes human until by the end, the yellow dress I'm wearing when we get to do our beautiful scene together, I was like, well, I don't want her to suddenly by the end of the movie be in a black suit, because she is super feminine. Yeah. She is a girly girl, and she shouldn't lose that. That shouldn't be the message. Now she's just a tomboy or something. But I was like, it should still be pretty but vulnerable in a way, and messy in the way that life is. And so it should be a soft fabric, and the floral pattern, the flowers aren't certain, they're kind of random, and all of those little things are kind of representing the journey she's gone on to becoming human. And again, with the hair and makeup, the wigs, the hair, and I probably had 9 different wigs, and each time they had less and less hair until by the end it's kind of realistic hair as opposed to Barbie voluminous hair. And
still pretty voluminous.
Still pretty fabulous. But yeah, it was things like that, and hopefully it all flies past you on screen in a way that isn't noticeable, but so many conversations I had with your hair and makeup and wardrobe department and Greta and I, and just really trying to convey at every moment on screen the journey that she was on. And then also just physicality wise, I tried to adjust it, going from being a very certain person to someone who suddenly starts thinking a million thoughts and doubting herself and feeling shame and experiencing all these concepts in the real world that she had never been exposed to.
I mean, how much does it help, as actors, the day that you get to put on the pink jumpsuit, the day that you've stepped into Barbie land, how much does that help you with your character, to have the hair, to have the makeup, to have the costume?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think costumes are such a big part of finding a character. And we had this brilliant costume designer, Jacqueline Duran, who'd done Little Women with Greta and a number of other fabulous things. And she was so amazing at interpreting your random thoughts, and I remember when we talked about Gloria and her journey, and well, what is she wearing in the real world, and how does that tell us who she is, and what is this journey she's going on, and how do we show that in one outfit that we get to see her in? And I sort of said to her, that in the script we meet her with these pink shoes that are hiding under the desk, and then you see that everything you can see fits into this environment, but there's a piece of her that you can't see. I was like, we want a shirt that says that. And she's like, got it. And the next time I come back, she didn't even make it. She found a shirt that was a blue collar, corporate, perfect. I mean, you saw it in there, right? And she's wearing that, and she looks exactly the part. And then the next time you see her, she's taking off the blazer, and she's pink pinstripes underneath, and a sparkly belt. And it really does feel like when you get to step into it and wear it and embody it, for me, the character really begins to feel real and come alive. And in this movie, the sets, the props, the hair and the makeup and mini Corvette that we got to sit in. And, you know, there's so much of the artistry that's happening around you that is building a whole world. And actually, the hardest part for me was to be in Barbie Land and not like match the Barbie energy, because everything is pulling you into that, you know, tone and energy, and to try to be like a grounded human when everything's pink. And I'm like, but I want to dance with the Barbies.
Voice just like rises an octave when you walk into Barbie Land. Everyone's just like, oh my god! I think that's
Was it hard not to laugh? I would be cracking up during these takes.
I ruined so many.
You were the one?
So many. Because, I mean...
I feel like Greta ruined the most.
Ryan, yeah, Greta would burst out laughing. But I would like spit in Ryan's face. I'd be like, he would make stuff up all the time, and he would just, he's really, you've seen it. He's really funny. He's really, really funny.
I would love to see the outtakes.
Our blooper reels, it was incredible, yeah.
Rhea, you mentioned when you first read the script, you know, you instantly saw it. I'm sort of curious, because your character really is, those scenes are the heart and soul of the film. When you finally saw the finished product, and especially, you know, those scenes and the song at the end, what was your reaction?
When I saw the scenes, I just felt so lucky to have been the one to carry those words forward. I don't know, I just felt lucky throughout this entire process. You know, when I first came, a little off the subject, but when I first got on the set, and that white wig that I had on, because I was playing a real person that I could look up and see what she looked like, Ruth Handler, and I didn't know what she was like really, and as a person, but you know, I had the feeling, and you know, and that white wig made me feel really a lot like her, like I thought she was. But when I got on that set, the first thing was that Margot, you came up to me. I was sitting on a chair, you know, something that you can sit on that chair, you know. Okay, that's my chair. Okay. And you said, "Oh, it's so good to have you here, and I just want you to know that if you ever want to see dailies, you're always invited. You're invited to everything we do." She was just like the most welcoming. You were the most welcoming producer at that point, because you were being the producer. And you were too. The first time I met you, you admired my sneakers. Yeah, I was like, oh, the producer likes my sneakers. Okay. But you know, I just felt like there was a feeling on that set of we were all here together. Yeah. It really was like that, and that's how it comes off. That's why it's so deep. It's deep. You know, everybody fell into that. Nobody was like, oh, I wish I wasn't here. I don't want to work today. You know, it just wasn't like that.
A story that I don't know if you guys have told before. In that last scene with Rhea and Margot and the hands and the feel moment, I remember watching, and it was a deadly quiet set. And I was like, is the camera shaking? Something's happening. It was really emotional. And it wasn't the camera shaking, but I could sense movement. And the grip, Sammy was shuddering, holding the crane. And he was crying. And it was so moving. It was incredible.
I'm picturing this big biker guy. I don't know if that's what he looks like, but please tell me. I actually wanted to ask you, Tom, because, you know, it's easy to like sit here now when the movie has been so well received by audiences and critics, and you know, it seems like it was a sure thing, but I know that's not the case. This was a big swing. You didn't know if this was going to work. Was there a day where you were on sets where you said, you know, you realized we have something special here, this is going to work?
I think that moment was like, you know, when you caught the emotional impact of the movie, and to see the crew crying and really understanding like how this movie will affect people was a moment. You never know until you're on, you know, not even opening weekend, you know a couple of weeks after. But I think the other moment, if we're talking about days on set, was the first day walking on the set, and Margot spoke to it. You know, these sets were the biggest sets I've ever seen, even bigger than the Harry Potter sets. And they, you know, because the dream houses didn't have walls, you could see from one corner to the other, and we built this cul-de-sac with 4 4-story dream houses, 4 cars, and the palm trees and the painted Sykes in the background, and just the scale and beauty of the artistry was a moment that like gives you goosebumps. Walking into a set for the first time like that.
I love that you use the word lucky, because that's also the name of your company, Lucky Chap. And that sounds like that's how people feel on set.
We are very lucky. And I have to say, on set, the vibe of a set, it really comes down from the top. And whatever vibe your director is putting out there, I feel like that's the vibe the movie has. And Greta couldn't have created a better and more appropriate vibe for this movie. It was that everyone's welcome, so much joy. We would all dance in the morning. Like, I'm not talking just it wasn't segregated to like actors and crew. Like, a lot of Tom and my friends actually were the crew members too, but we'd all dance together. We'd do something on Sunday morning called Movie Church, where everyone was invited to watch a movie that was a point of reference for Barbie in some ways. And we might watch, you know, The Red Shoes to kind of, you know, because we were looking at the colour lot and, you know, invented this thing called techno, but anyways, whatever. Or it would be, you know, His Girl Friday for the pace that they're talking, or, you know, something that Greta was referencing, and everyone would be invited. But it was always fun and joyful and welcoming, and yeah, like Barbie land. And that comes from Greta. I think if she wasn't the person she was, this movie wouldn't feel the way it feels.
Well, it's such a fantastic movie. Before we go, I want to ask you all if you could stay seated so they can get out of here. They actually have somewhere else to be. But I want to thank you for being a great audience. I just want to say congratulations on everything. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for watching it and listening to us. Thank you.
Thank you.